Uh, well then, Jacob, it sounds like you're getting warmed up here. Tell us what's going on in Jacob's world, and I'll
Well,
kick us from this screen real quick, just to I guess give us a setting behind your recap here, because a lot of the action took place here.
yes, stay a while and listen. For you see, I have a tale. Tale as old as last week. I ended up here having a momentary up here speaking with the young Mrs. Crumb, who we have found has been afflicted with the curse of vampirism of some sort. Thus far, despite her condition, she is not or has not broken any laws, as I will not end up here placing her under arrest. After all, the law is the law, and it applies to everyone, regardless on mortal standing. That being said, it's only fair. That unfortunate bit ended up coming when a Miss Triddle, also aka Bright, ended up causing, through magical means, the immolation of an officer of the law, causing them to self-immolate, in fact. The sad truth is that we ended up having a altercation, shall we say. When Miss Triddle and Mr. Silverleaf were brought into, well, custody, I was to end up being their chief investigator. We ended up becoming here, started to apply the questioning. And unfortunately, it was at that moment Miss Bright had a chance to end up escaping using a form of magic. Now, if that was not bad enough, in order to veil her attempts at escaping, she used magic again to end up leaving the illusion of her still in place, though she flickered in and out of existence for a mere moment. It wasn't until I tried to place the manacles upon her did they slide right through, and it became very obvious that we had been duped. A search began, and if I recall in my notes, she had fled to a temple of wee jazz under the protection of one Selene. Now, the priestess ended up taking her under the wing in order to protect her stout comrade. But it was at this point I was left with Mordecai. Mordecai, who was held in general populace, stayed in the night to end up coming once again to be questioned. Because at this point, I had allowed Miss Crumb to go about her business, making it very clear that so long as she stayed within the letter of the law and did not end up causing harm to others, I will do my best to end up accommodating her. The truth of the matter is that during this, I had a chance to sit down with Mr. Silverleaf, to which I ended up finding Mr. Silverleaf has particular tastes unique to himself, or not so much, given the fact that now I have exposure with Miss Crumb, I know what to look for. Using his unique thirsts, he is a thirsty boy after all, I ended up managing to pry particular points of information and made it very clear to the guards when he was trying to lick up one guard's blood off the floor after having his nose shattered not more than a few moments ago. I allowed him this moment after wrestling the young man to the ground and managing to get information from him, including the fact that he could, much like his compatriot Bright, escape at any moment in time. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about causing a person to die of asphyxiation who is already dead and not needing breath. So that allowed me particular leverage. Afterwards, when he was licking the blood off, I kicked the door open while the guards were hearing the panic, and Mordecai was left revealed for what he truly was, licking blood off the floor and we were able to detain him properly. It was at this point Miss Selene, Priestess Selene, ended up finding herself coming over to this little estate we end up calling, well, the interrogation room, to end up having a discussion with yours truly. Miss Selene had an understanding that she needed to end up gathering her compatriots in order to tackle the problem of the fires in the burning tower that had randomly appeared not more than a few days ago in the middle of the city, which has been causing all kinds of panic and distrust, and the gods have been trying to end up keeping it under wraps. But the truth of the matter is that this, well, this act of destruction has ended up causing quite the stir and a great deal of civil unrest. That being said, when Selene approached Jacob, she tried to barter with him. Jacob, in that regard, gave her an ultimatum. He said that if, and to be clear here, if they were able to end up causing these fires to go out and to aid the city in its recovery, Jacob would be able to end up making it very clear to the law that Bright would be cleared of charges. Mordecai would be free to leave, though I cannot promise him still being in the city by the end. He would be able to leave with his life. And, well, Miss Selene would not be arrested for harboring a fugitive. For how much she may end up claiming that she's a member of the church, this does not make her above the law, no matter what she may say otherwise. And I want to make that point very clear to her. After a moment, she had, well, since we weren't getting away, I made it clear I'm willing to leave the room. I have no need to end up aiding them. I have more important things to do, including a flaming tower. Hopefully, once she realized that our interests and final goals were aligned, she would acquiesce to my request. Which she did, in fine fashion. Sometimes it's nice to end up here bringing the overly zealous down a peg or two. But perhaps I'm just getting a bit vindictive now. After all, it's been a long, trying couple of days.
Yeah, it's jeez.
Does that help sum it up for you, Black Wolf?
Ta-da! But you know, Jacob was just taking a stroll through the woods out on kind of a routine survey, and you just got sucked into a whole mess of. You know, it's the life of an investigator, right? You just keep picking and picking. Yeah. Oh well, then, Jacob, if that's all, then we'll pass the baton over to Mordecai.
Go a while and listen.
Okay. Mordecai, what is happening with you right now? What are your thoughts, feelings, experiences?
Well, it's definitely been a weird couple of days. I am feeling incredibly humiliated right now. I got bested by Jacob, and he was pushing my buttons. I warned him not to. He did anyway, and now it seems that the whole fucking precinct is aware that I'm a vampire. I'm trying to keep that a secret, trying to make sure that nobody really feels threatened by me, because I'm not threatening. I really just want to go about our business and get out of this city. But it seems I'm going to probably be here a while, so who knows what's going to happen.
Well, I am delighted to hear that, you know, you haven't gotten to the point of you're just going to, murder your way out or kill every last one of them, or, I just want to leave. I just want to not be here.
And doing anything like that is going to bring on the ire of the whole cities, and I don't need that.
Alrighty. Well, then we'll go from our blue-haired boy to our pink-haired girl here with Bright of the One Floof. Can you give us a recap and thoughts of what is happening with Bright?
It's been an iffy couple of days, that's for sure. So yeah, um, that there was that whole business with the fire and the policeman and the interrogation that I really just decided I'd rather not participate in. But I went to the temple. No better than to go to Selene for comfort, and that's okay because that isn't far anyway. I really just like she would know something that might help. I not comforting, just answers, I guess. But I get answers from her. She just wanted me to convert, but I'm not gonna be a follower of Ouija's. That's not why I came. So all that helpful, at least for me. Maybe for her, I don't know. But anyway, here I am, and it's everywhere. So that changes the situation a little. Not sure for what. I don't know if they're good giants or bad giants, but they're definitely giants, and they weren't here before. That'll be interesting. And
Surprise giants are the best giants.
And usually there aren't surprise giants because they're so big you can usually see them from a long way away. But not this time. Oh, I don't know. We'll see what happens next. I hope. We'll just see what happens next. I don't know, and I don't have my spellbook with me. It's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
And I don't have the right spells for fighting giants. That's not what I was prepared to do today.
What?
We don't have to fight them.
Session canceled, everyone. Come on.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
See you guys next week.
Yep. Casimir, thank you for showing up for 5 minutes, and it was good to see you. Yeah, right. And the tiny baton gets passed from Bright over to Selene. And Selene, you certainly have had a day as well. This is very interesting because the party is together, yet perhaps never more split, or as I was even putting it, frayed. The single threads are even fraying at the ends here. What is fraying at you, Selene?
I knew I shouldn't have shown her that, I knew it. And now this is happening. Look, I'm gonna have to just go grab Mordecai's stuff and get him ready for combat, because, we're gonna need all the people that we can get. Also, I found out that Jacob likes to make a lot of assumptions. Many assumptions. Whether they're right or wrong, I'm never gonna say. But, yeah, no, might wanna get the party combated up for fighting giants.
All right. Anything else that you'd like to add? No, not really. Alrighty. So Casimir, you got a pretty good rundown on the things that have been happening. So we had you working in the background. You've still been tending to people that have come in who are injured or otherwise.
It's opposite of what I usually do. I usually feel that.
Well, we'll see if you can make that up then. So yeah, we had you doing things in the background, and your role ended up shifting overnight from that of put your hand on this wound, otherwise the person's gonna die, to hey, can you help us keep an eye on things because we're missing a lot of people. And so what we'll actually do here, and this is also a good excuse here for a T. Casimir in chat. What we'll actually do is, since the gang is kind of back together-ish, or at least there's 3 of yous here in the ossuary. Casimir, as you have... Oh, 2? Oh, I'm sorry, Bright, did you leave?
Yeah, because Selene
Oh, no,
is
Selene,
with
yeah.
Jacob and Mordecai currently.
That's right. And in
I'm
fact...
actually not sure that Casimir is here because he went out to get me a new set of clothes.
Yes,
and
that's
I don't know if that happened yet.
That's right. Oh, so we're gonna go back to the cityscape then, because I want to start with Casimir. Yep, you're absolutely correct. And by the way, a detail that was left out is the bloody nose was inadvertently caused by Selene. So Mordecai and Jacob, you could thank Selene for that.
You know, we're in the jail. The giants are attacking.
Yeah.
And Selene is screaming to Jacob, "Get Mordecai's stuff and get him combat ready, because we need to go out into the city and fight us some giants."
So in the city, we have Casimir, who's gone out on a clothing supply run here, as Bright is in a bit of a fashion emergency and needs you to get some common clothes, some durable, maybe traveling, nothing that stands out too much. Certainly, nothing ostentatious, as she is neither tiefling nor has
Good, 'cause
provided
I have
you.
no sense of fashion.
Looks like
The
Sturt
only-
has. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Thing is a big hood that I can
Yes.
hide in.
Yep. And so Casimir here, you're walking through town, and you do see that a lot of the shops are closed. And though these are ones that are jewelry, these are fine clothing. A lot of these stores aren't the bare necessities. And Bright is functioning on that level right now. So fortunately, you can find like a secondhand store. And you can go in and start rummaging around the kids section there to find a cloak and some other material. But the events that have been playing out, obviously, there's this tower that exploded, and you were helping people out, and then through the night you were asked to go on a bit of a search, and also to keep an eye out to make sure people aren't getting into areas of the cathedral that they ought not to be. And with you having, pulled kind of an all-nighter there, helping people out, and your keen senses as the hunter that you are, you're able to pick up relatively easily on the layout of the ossuary. And it certainly did seem, I don't know, there's that hunter's instinct that was just kind of giving you a tingle. And it was clear that through the night there was just a feeling. It was night, so a lot of people were probably asleep, except those who are running emergency services, or sort of the clergy that are on the night shift for people who might want to come in and use the very interesting coffin-style, like, sensory deprivation kind of confessional booth there, or other services. Some people might just wander in and they need a hot meal. As Weejass is, is not just, into putting people down, but into uplifting them and giving them knowledge and empowering them too. But yeah, just something was off, and I'll tell you, Casimir, go ahead and make an insight at advantage, just to set a base. Oh, all right, there's a green number. That's a 22. Yeah, so your hunter's instincts were definitely getting your hackles raised. There seemed to be something that was just off last night. And you're trying to mull it over in your mind. It's that feeling before the prey walks into the trap, or the feeling that you're going to get the drop on someone, or these other things that have just extended to you as the professional hunter that you've been for so long. That was even beyond the feelings of that burning tower that is, you can even still see that there's this reflection of this, not just light, but even this darkness that is acting like light, splashing over some of the buildings over in that quarter. So you're aware, your senses are raised, and we'll see if that comes into play in any other way. You go and you find Bright, some interesting looking clothes, relatively inexpensive, and you are back out in the city. Now, do you want to return immediately to the ossuary, or is there anything else that you'd like to do while you're in the city? Like, what would Casimir do now that he has a little bit of free time away, or he doesn't have duties that are set immediately in front of him, or that are like, no, you got to do this now? I mean, urgent, but not.
I don't think I would care to travel city, so I would just return.
So you're on your way back. You're going through, and you're getting a strange vibe, and from maybe a block and a half away, on your way back, you hear several IEs and screams. I don't think we're at Wilhelm scream levels just yet, but it's certainly clutch the purse and IE kind of a thing.
I will investigate.
Okay. So ducking your way through, there's a rush of people now that are fleeing away from the direction of the ossuary. It should be easy enough for you to kind of nimbly, boop, boop, go back and forth, not have people, crash into you. And by the way, what's your passive perception?
16.
Okay. Okay. You're continuing through, like, people are going past you, a few people bump into you on the way, and you see that just as they're clearing by, there is a small parade of large deformed figures that are beginning to stalk away from the ossuary. Yet they're wearing the tatters of priestly robes that would indicate that they belong to the clergy, and if not to the robed clergy, there's some that are also clutching some, now small to them, spears and some other remnants of armor as they are making their way away from the city. They don't seem to be pouncing and, attacking and savaging people, but they are out on a mission, and so, make an active perception. $19. Okay. There's a child that pulls away from her mother and goes out. Oh, what's this? A little tiefling child, like right in the way of these stomping fomorians, and the fomorian stops, and a big hand kind of goes down, grabs the little child who looks really scared, and the fomorian sets it off to the side and continues marching down the street with the others in tow. And it's also... Oh. Bubonic one. Hey, Maddie, want to say have fun at the thing this weekend. It's going to be extremely busy this week, so I might... Oh, all right, well, thank you, Bubonic one. I appreciate the message and the well-wishing. I certainly hope I don't come down with con crud or some other sort of blah. But I intend on having a good time, and I'll keep all updated on that. And thank you for the 25 bits. Casimir, you also notice about this time that the parcel of clothes that you had is missing.
Is child okay? Take it back to her mother?
The child seems to be happy and oblivious. The tiefling mother is there and is really beside herself. just watching this happen and like, are you okay? And doing like getting the hair out of the face and checking her pointy ears and her horns and all this other stuff. Using a little bit of like mom spit to get a little fomorian stain off of her nose or whatever. And but the child seems to be happy enough.
That's good then. I will go back and see if I have dropped parcel.
Okay. You go back a little ways down the street that really you've been traveling down for the last little leg to shoot over after hearing the noises, and you don't see a parcel anywhere. This is going to lead your mind and instincts to the fact that one of the people who are rushing past probably used this as an opportunity to rob you.
Probably.
What a state the city's in.
I guess I will go back and buy another parcel.
Okay. So you're going to turn around and go back to the thrift store.
Yep.
Okay.
Right, will get the not as nice outfit, unfortunately.
Okay. All right, so you go back to the thrift store.
This is why you don't stay in cities, and not in people.
And yeah, right. Oh, geez, this is further confirming your anti-urban bias, Casimir. So you go back, and the store seems like it's locked up, as people have like you're getting reports of these giants stomping through, and everyone is sort of back on a lockdown right now. Now, I mean, if you want to break into the store, I don't know if it's worth it to you, but you can find clothes that way. But the store seems to, it has like a be back later sign in the window.
I guess I will just go back to temple.
Okay.
Unless there is other store I could look for.
They're all in a lockdown right now.
Yep. I will go back to temple.
All right. So Bright, Casimir returns to the temple. Casimir looks decidedly healthy and untouched from the panic and hullabaloo outside.
Well, I'm glad you're okay.
There's too many people in city.
Yeah, there's a lot of people here. I prefer smaller towns myself. When you're wanting to get lost in a crowd, then I prefer forest too. But when you want to get lost in a crowd, big city is a good place to do that. So, what did you get me?
Well, someone took it, so it wasn't that nice anyway. So
Yeah. Well, I wasn't really getting it for for fashion purposes. It was really more for not being arrested when I walk out of the temple purposes. Well, I guess I can make do.
Casimir, make an investigation check at this moment. Bright is trying to. Oh.
Sorry.
Well, fortunately, we're not going to stick with that red number. That's the second one. So we're going to go with the 10 here that popped up first. So Bright is, well, I can make do, is thinking about this. And are you walking off, Bright, to look for options, or are you still on the scene here as we're back in the ossuary?
No, I was just waiting for Casimir to get back.
Okay.
And hopefully for Selene too, because I kind of called for her. But they're sending to Selene just to see where she is. It's like, when someone keeps sending you messages saying, "Hey, where are you? Where are you?" It's kind of annoying, and also it uses up all your spell slots.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, sup? Hey.
I think. So I think the best thing to do would be to see what's going on here in the temple right now, and decide based on that. But I'll probably just have to disguise myself again.
Okay. Casimir, you're here. You're thinking about this. I can't have this. It was stolen. Well, Casimir, there are of the present clergy. You had been asked to go into more sensitive areas as you were, you were a trusted person who came in with Selene, and of course, you're committing yourself to the cause here. No one may look another way if you slipped into an off-limits area and grabbed a robe from the staff. Certainly there's ones that are voluminous, that have a hood. Or even if they don't, you just get a large instead of a small, and there's plenty of fabric there to cover up. So if you wished, I'm not saying it's theft, but you have access to robes. If you say, oh, I will just go get robes from, the acolyte closet, or, something along those lines.
Could we not just ask clergy for extra clothes? You're small, you wouldn't need much.
Yeah, it's not really about the amount of material used. So I did that with Celine, and she said I couldn't have a robe unless I actually became an acolyte, which I don't really want to do. So I don't think they'll give us one.
Can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
Very stingy on robe.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to become an acolyte, though.
So,
That's a lot of effort for a single piece of clothing.
yeah. So now that we're both here, I think the thing to do is figure out if we're gonna be staying here or if we need to go after the giants. And I wish Celine had.
Oh, I didn't get what you said after I wish Selene.
Wish she had come back by now. No, we'd have more
The
people.
giants don't seem to be hurting anyone yet, so
Well, that's good.
they are scaring people.
Okay,
They are big.
so how many priests and people are around? Because I tried to get into the back area before, and there were too many of them. But maybe there's not as many now.
There's not as many now in the daylight hours that seem to be in official robes, even with official acolyte robes. Though you do see that there were people, as I was describing before, that are volunteers for the church, like lay people, lay clergy and the like, that are volunteers, that are like upstanding members of the community that kind of know some ins and outs of the basics, and they're dressed in a way that signifies them as having at least nominative authority in this place. So it wouldn't be impossible to sneak around, but it's not going to be super duper easy to do so, especially because, well, even poor Casimir was looted on the street on the way here, in an opportunity in the midst of this giant parade. So they're still on guard as well. Sorry if I was talking away from the mic here.
Okay.
So you could try. It's
Does this temple not have, because it said that people could come in at night for food. Do they not have extra clothes for homeless?
So Casimir, you, in remembering your duties, there would be, easily accessible for you, moderately inaccessible for Bright. They do have a bin of clothes that they have recovered from dead people who were brought in. And so the clothes are free. You could just go and take some, gently used corpse clothing, if you'd like to.
I think I will do that, but I will do this right. I will talk to a member of clergy, make a small donation and then get.
Very honorable of you, Casimir.
I am going to donate one of my art pieces,
Oh my! All right then.
which is worth 25.
Sure. So you go and in this time of need, you're doing things here. Go ahead and make a persuasion at advantage. You've done things. Ooh, all right, so there's a green number, everyone. It's a 19, which was a critical. So Casimir may not be the most charismatic.
I'm not the doctor.
But you definitely tried your best. You know, your scar caught the light just right. You gave that winning smile, and a little bit of like a hair, like, you know, I could really use some clothing right now, and I will give you art for it. And so the clergy member that you talked to gets Ugu eyes and is very acquiescent to your request here to go off of what Jacob was talking about earlier. And through the power of a critical 19, you get access to the room where there are just piles of clothes that have been recovered from former patients, now turned into possible residence, just not in a above ground fashion. And you know, well, you could describe if it breaks your heart or not, but of course, you know, children were caught in the in this explosion, and not all of them made it. There's also tattered remains from a lot of adults. You're getting mostly human and tiefling clothing, so if you want to give Bright some interesting options, you know, you could grab like some tiefling pants to modify. She could put on her head, and the floof can come out where the tail hole would go, or whatever. But yes, there's piles of used and probably not yet washed clothing, but it's still there, and you have your pick. There's nothing really with a large hood, but you could probably scrounge something up.
I will get the clothes that I think will fit.
Okay.
Maybe a larger jacket or shirt to cover it completely.
Sure. Oh yes. Okay. Yeah.
You know?
Okay. All right. So you find some larger, and you know, people had some jackets. Some. It's still springtime, and you know, people need to bundle up against the wind here. So Casimir, you return to Bright with an armful of clothing. Bright, you see that she's brought certainly an interesting array of clothes that have belonged to once alive people, probably not even all that long ago. And you have Casimir's closet is presented to you.
Go ahead, put on whatever you don't want. I will return.
Okay, yeah, that's really nice. So when someone gets immolated, they don't leave clothes behind, it turns out. So this is really much more useful right now. But I mean, we are in the Temple of Death after all. So I mean I'm sad for these people, but I don't know. We'll come back and make a donation or something later. Also, maybe if we save them from giants, they'll overlook that we borrowed a set of clothes. Okay, so I'll put those on.
Okay.
I will return whatever she didn't want.
Okay. There's also there's a big piece of ribbon if you want it too. It's kind of muddy and splotchy, and there's probably a little bit of blood on it. But if you want a big floppy ribbon to put in your hair, you're welcome.
Sure, I'll do that, and I can prestidiginate it clean. So.
Okay.
Well, that'll be nice.
All right, now for you, I mean, it'll be like a big ribbon that can flop, or you could use it in other ways. But you certainly have a long. I mean, calling it satin would be incorrect. But it's not sackcloth, but we're not talking silk or satin either.
It's linen, probably.
Yeah, like a nice linen. It had a decent enough dye job, so yeah, you have a long strip of cloth that you could make into a ribbon of some kind if you want.
Okay, I'm probably not gonna put it in my hair right now because it would get in the way of the hood. So I'll just make like a little.
You'll make a little what? I'm sorry, I cut off.
A little belt.
Okay. Sure, you can fashion as a fashion it as a sash. No problem.
Okay. So that's good. So let's as soon as I'm done changing, uh, Casimir, if you, I mean, I know there's something fishy going on here, but I don't know what. And the thing is, I don't really even know what I'm looking for. So, did you see anything that might be ordinary?
Say once more.
What did you see anything might be out of the ordinary?
Other than the big-eyed
Yeah, besides
giants who wear
giants, yeah.
cleric's clothes?
Yeah, besides that.
No. This city is kind of panicky. People steal clothes from other people's hands.
Why don't we follow the giants? It seems like interesting.
Could do. Might be fun.
Okay, and so that's your plan, is to leave the ossuary and to go out into the streets to follow and or chase down the giants?
Yeah, but while we're on the way, I want to look around for any robin's nests.
Okay.
Any here. That's just something that I want to keep looking for.
Are you?
And
is it just
actually,
you, or do you want to share that with Casimir the Hunter here?
Yeah, Casimir. So here's a thing that you might enjoy. It's like a little game, but it's actually really serious right now. So I'm looking for a robin's nest with eggs in it.
Robin eggs?
Yeah.
Might be hard to find in city, but we could look.
Yeah, but see, I'm thinking that with you and me both looking for robin's nests, sometimes they live in cities, and if they don't, we can check outside the town too. I don't know if I need a particular nest. I hope not, because there's so many. But one way or the other, I really need a robin's nest. It'll probably help us put this fire out, and I mean, yeah, it would be good if we could put that fire out.
All right.
Anyway, if you could help me find a robin's nest, that'd be good.
Then we will, with a side quest of in the springtime here, finding a robin's nest. Obviously this is just a picture of one of the street corners, but there's trees and shrubberies and other such vegetation in this city that you'd find in other big cities in our modern world. There's some sort of like a weird flower, just kind of like over here, and so we are going to then cut over to the jail as Casimir and Bright are setting out into the city, the streets of Mask of Horns, which is once more on a lockdown, and there's people talking about this and that. So we're coming now to where, well, Jacob and Selene are together. Mordecai's technically here, just in another area. Our Mordecai is in another cell. And so we'll pick up first with Jacob and Selene in the wake of what has been seen here. As you're in one of the interrogation rooms with a window that leads outside. Selene, you saw some things, and go.
Jacob, get Mordecai out of his cell and combat ready. There are giants wandering the streets!
I'm so glad that somebody out of your entire crew ended up showing some act of concern. However, it seems that you are making demands at this point. And unfortunately...
Do you want the people saved, or do you want them
He shoves
to
the table
die?
into her guts immediately. Just cuts the wind out of her. You and your ilk have done everything to end up saying that they don't particularly care, so do not end up speaking to me on the sanctity of life, especially one who ends up worshipping death such as you do, and then ends up being somewhat negligent on the whole point. So, from this point on, if you end up opening your mouth to an officer, and it ends up costing you and your party I would end up considering you taking your words a little bit more, or choosing them a little bit more carefully from this point out. He steps out of the chair since he doesn't have to slide it out anymore.
Ah, dual purpose.
Let's go and retrieve your mail. Let's just end up here grabbing your specimen now, shall we?
I don't call him that, but sure.
That's what he is to you. Priestess Selene, regardless on what you keep telling him.
You can make all the assumptions you want. You know nothing of Mordecai and my relationship. You have no idea of our relationship, so I would ask kindly
Well, this is for once
that you
for
stay out
everything.
of I ask kindly that you stay out of personal matters. Because our relationship has nothing to do with you, and you know it.
Until it becomes a point of investigation. We
Until
are
it becomes
agreed
a-
on that.
Until it becomes a point of investigation, and then you can do as you like.
Then I will start to take a page out of your book. He walks out of the cell and starts walking towards Mordecai's detainment.
Jacob, as you were doing so, before there were people that were handy that probably would have come running when they heard the table clatter as it did. Though what Selene is talking about seemingly is credible because there's a station-wide, like there's some people that, as you're trying to make your way a little deeper into the station, towards the holding cells, there's just less. There are less officers, as there's been a call put out because of these strange creatures that are stalking the streets of Mask of Horns. And there seems to be a panic here at the precinct. You can imagine that the other ones are also emptying their people to once more. Like it's one disaster after one disaster. As the city of Mask of Horns here is just. Things are happening. Maybe this is embittering you even more towards magic, or just making you more suspect of it. But this seems to be some sort of I don't know, maybe a price to be paid. I don't know if you're necessarily that gritty, like the city's full of sin and deserves, but certainly there's a lot of things that are happening here that there's they're happening for a reason. So anyway, you do make your way past a couple others. They can fill you in. The city's under attack by large, deformed creatures. And you're getting like, I hear they have big ears, and some people are, one of them says, a small mouth, and the other says big eyes, and just you're getting all sorts of descriptions. So
I'm about to find you out soon enough.
As you make your way to the detainment area, Mordecai is there after being escorted back after the interrogation. And I presume Mordecai, I will cut to you real quick. As you would have been escorted back to a holding cell, were you wanting to fight or escape? Let me know if they should find you there or not find you there.
No, he would be there because at this point he's just kind of like trying to maintain his calm, since lots of questions have been brought up to him, he's just been mulling over what exactly has been going on to him the last couple of months. And kind of even questioning whether or not it was real.
Okay.
Because lots of things have been brought up, and he's not entirely sure what's real and what's not at this point.
So your thirst has been slaked, both by the appetizer of the guard's noseblood, and then Jacob seemingly did you a favor by re-injuring himself. And if you recall, your strength is temporarily at a 19 from this, because Jacob is a strong boy. And while you're sitting there, there's a couple of the guards are talking about, apparently there's some other kind of emergency that just happened. You have keen senses, but you're not getting like lingo, their code talk, or you know that something's happening in the city, and so they're leaving. They're leaving a rather burly person behind to watch everyone. After all of you as prisoners in this holding cell, and presumably down others are told, there's another lockdown in the city. And you're getting Commander Hardass here. He says, like, if I hear so much as a mouse fart, I'm gonna rain down on you like rocks from the sky. And so very very tough, projecting this no nonsense. It's an emergency, and he's the only one here. But if you're there contemplating, I mean, you're going to be the golden child. It does sound like there are other people who are being held here who are. You hear some whispers from another part over with your extreme senses. That that this might be a good time to pull something, and other shenanigans. But you're being good boy Mordecai here, and after a while, you are going to be revisited by Jacob. And Jacob, you were traveling in here alone, or were you wanting to escort Selene back here too?
I am escorting Priestess Selene.
Okay. Again, no one's really questioning you. You've established yourself in the precinct while you are visiting. You're here as kind of under a mutual aid accord from, one city to another. And so you're back here, and so Mordecai, Selene, and Jacob are now here.
Thank you very much, Officer Susan.
Yeah, watch it. There are probably a couple of them thinking that they're gonna pull some stuff.
You do your unit proud, Officer Susan.
Yeah, be mindful. They're saying things.
Of course they are.
Who's saying things?
I have this here for a moment. Officer Susan, I need you to end up giving me here the slips for T-62 and B46-D. Give me that paperwork immediately.
I'm sorry, I can't get paperwork right now. I gotta keep eyes on people here.
It will take you a grand total of 30 seconds, and I will be here. And given the nature of those documents, you should know exactly what I am preparing for, and the severity of the situation is at hand.
Now, are you making this up for a deception, or should I call for a persuasion?
This is forms for. I'm trying to end up making forms that effectively say, here's somebody who shall be acknowledged as a on-the-fly called deputy.
Okay. All right. So I was willing to roll with either. If you wanted to like baffle them and just spout out a bunch of like
Jargon.
red tape, that's fine. But no, if you're invoking these as this is procedure, these are standard forms that exist, then we'll roll with that and go ahead and make a persuasion in this case. I'm not going to say at advantage, as he does have orders and there's a special emergency situation. But if you're convincing enough on a straight up roll, then he might just go do that.
And you know what? I will guidance you.
Okay.
I'll be nice.
So Selene's.
Yeah.
Love the lethality.
Love the lethality, yeah. I hate the Selene. All right, so apparently Selene's lungs refill with air after a little bit here, enough to get this spell off and give you like a little subtle kind of a little magical finger wiggle here as you're that is putting a little twinkle in your eye, and we're going from a 14 to an 18 with that, and so I'll go get him. I need you to stay right here, though. Keep an eye on him, especially if we believe Blue Boy over here. That cell, they're plotting something.
I believe so. I'm counting on it.
Oh, I'll be right back with your forms. And Officer Susan goes stomping off.
Very well then. He doesn't end up.
Just as an aside, investigator, make sure that red tape doesn't garrot you someday.
At this given point, I play to the rules. Priestess Selene, I have no intention on having it do so. That being said, Mr. Silverleaf, approach the door.
I do. Getting
Your
up slowly.
visitor.
Well, fancy meeting you here.
Now, to make this very clear here, Mr. Silverleaf, what I am doing it goes against everything here that I am currently standing with. That being said, I have to end up here considering the safety of the people first and foremost. So, with that in mind, I have come to an accord with the Priestess Selene, in which case the forms have been gathered. All I need is your signature upon them, in which case, he leans in very carefully not to end up having the rest of them hear this. You will be considered a formalized deputy. Before you sign them, I need your word that you will act in accordance with the position. Because at this point, you are going to be here under me for this little duration. Should you, Selene, your missing compatriot who decided to skedaddle outside of the interrogation chamber, and if I recall, Mr. Asirarak, Asiril,
Yeah, the elf.
Arshville.
yes. Well,
We're gonna have to teach you Elvish one of these days.
end up here managing to curtail the current situation as well as the fires, which should be your sole objective from this point forward. Once that is done, you will be released. The charges will be dropped against your compatriot Bright. Selene could get along on her merry way, and I'm pretty sure Casimir will end up enjoying a hefty reward as a thank you to the city. Are these acceptable, or would you rather just sit this one out?
No, that's acceptable.
Fantastic. He looks at the others in the cell, just observing, okay, have any of them been drained, harmed, or any look like they've been bloodletting in any way that has been having Mr. Silverleaf indulging his baser instincts?
There's only one other tiefling that's in the cell with Mordecai, who's a very bright orange color, though he seems to be laying in a cot and is doing some like tail curls, because he has a very beefy tail, but he seems to be doing some tail curls for exercise.
Fantastic. Always good to get all the anatomy here exercised. Yes, my mission is to end up making coffee go pitch red from this point out.
That's
Officer Susan
mother of all
arrives. The forms. What do you need these ones for?
Very well. Mr. Silverleaf, he ends up taking them. From this point, as my position of investigator ends up allowing me, I am now taking you into my charge, in which case I am now. He takes a key and opens the cell, drafting you for the purposes of this crisis to complete all guidelines as they are presented to you. All I need now is a signature. He hands them to him and somehow, pulls out what looks to be a hair, or maybe no, it's a quill. Okay, it seems to already have ink on it. Not sure where the hell that keeps coming from. It's really weird. But then again, he's constantly writing in a notebook, but he doesn't seem to be carrying anything on him. Magically, this
Hammer space.
quill is ready to go. Hammer space. Sign what's left of your misbegotten soul on the line, Mr. Silverleaf.
That's ominous, but I take the paper and I sign it.
Fantastic.
As you're doing this, Mordecai, you hear that there's a creak from the cot behind you, and Jacob, as you're watching Mordecai here, You hear a rather gruff voice address you. Hey, patrolman. You need eyes and ears?
Officer Susan, what is this man in for?
I don't know. I'd have to look at his file. Look, I've been here just for a short while.
What are you in here for?
Mordecai, do you want to speak up at all before?
No, I'll let Obley speak for himself.
Wrong place, wrong time. They thought I was stealing from the debris of the tower and some of the other people that were gawking around.
That's what he told me.
That's an insight. I don't believe him for a second.
I mean, he is a prisoner.
Whether he's a prisoner or not, well, there's a good chance that he's going to succeed.
Can I insight as well?
Sure. Yeah, you're there. Yeah.
So you're gonna give yourself a little bit of goddamn.
Yep, because Derek rolls are a thing.
Well, it's also because I'm absolutely amazing at insight.
There's something about this character that, you know, he does seem like this isn't his first rodeo being in a jail cell, Selene. He does have just a demeanor about him that would show that he's a rough and tumble kind of person. There's probably more to his story, but he's also just being really straightforward. And go ahead and make a yeah, you could pretty well see him, so I'm not worried about perception. Make a medicine check.
Medicine.
Ooh, 22 insight, 26. Yeah. Oh, Dark Wolf, you are precious. That is wonderful.
That'll be in the Discord in a few seconds.
Wait.
So, yeah, with a 26 medicine, you're looking at him, and I mean, the dude is very physically, like, he's buff. You're not seeing, though, a lot of, you know, he doesn't have a ton of, like, scars or, like, even looking at his hands, like, things that might include that he lives a super rough life, like, you know, stab wounds or burns, even for a tiefling. I mean, tieflings can still get burned. Or other, you know, other major damage. It doesn't look like he's super scarred or scabbed or calloused in any particular fashion. He is a fine specimen of a tiefling, though. I mean, you're welcome to take a second look if you want. But you know, in your medical opinion, he certainly seems fit. That could also certainly, you know, for a life of climbing or burgling, you know, his muscles could serve him well. But that's, you know, he also could just be a fitness buff, as you even saw him working out his tail.
So on the matter of his story. So you said that he's hiding something, but it's not altogether untrue.
Yeah, he's reducing it down to a simple statement.
Okay.
Also, with this, you would notice that Mordecai is also looking pretty buff too. More so than normal.
That'll require a more hands-on examination later.
Great, now we're double copycat.
That's something that's on the stream for in perpetuity.
I don't think I heard what you said. I was doing something else. You'll
see
still,
him.
I mean, Selene will send to, we'll, quickly, murmur aside to Jacob, so it's quiet enough that only he hears. It's like, story seems legit. I know how to pick a liar, if anything.
Maybe.
Why would I lie to you?
I never implied you did.
No, just asking the question, you know, for the record.
At this moment, real quick, because I believe Bright said that she sent a sending, right? Did you send another sending to Selene?
Oh, I haven't sent one recently.
Oh, okay.
I was just complaining that
She
hasn't responded yet.
Yeah. Oh,
Gotcha.
I did respond.
Oh yeah,
when
I
you
mean,
sent your last one.
hasn't come back. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, haven't come back yet. But I'll probably end up sending to you in the next little bit anyway. So.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't, that I didn't need to like timestamp and weave this into the narrative so far. All right.
No.
So do continue. You have the orange tiefling Oubli.
It's at this point he simply ends up here. He let Mordecai step out, closes the door, looks to the tiefling, and simply says, "At another point in time, unfortunately, I only asked to hear one set of forms, and it is time sensitive. But should we find ourselves further short-handed, we'll consider the option. Deputy Silverleaf, let us move on."
Sure.
Officer Susan is taken a little bit aback here with a, this is very unorthodox. The paperwork will certainly get filed, but whatever. He's doing other things, and
he leans into Officer Susan. If it helps, nobody cries over the already dead.
He scratches his noggin as you're taken off with the deputized Mordecai here.
Thank you very much for your assistance, Officer Susan. Yes, as far as your gear, we will end up here grabbing what has not been used for evidence. As right now, as I said, for you, it up until a moment ago was as a witness. So we're going to receive that stuff and just right on through.
Okay. Mordecai, and actually, Jacob, your passive perception's what again?
15.
15? And Selene...
Mine is 18.
Okay. All of you can hear as you are, as you're making your way out of the holding cell area here. Oubli say something along the lines of, "I like that other guy better," and Officer Susan just kind of says, "Quiet you," and kind of like slams the bars. And
All right.
So while Mordecai receives his stuff, he's just gonna be like, "Mordecai, after you're changed, and aside for a moment, please."
Okay. And after I get my things, am I able to get all of my things?
Yeah, they're all held into a bin. So unless Jacob's not giving you all your things, since Jacob is allowed in the evidence closet here, so unless he's withholding anything from you, then all your things have been put together.
I will end up going and grabbing it myself and bringing it out. Maybe a deputy that doesn't give him access to the evidence closet, and I don't need them tampering with further information.
So what are you grabbing for me?
All your stuff, not a problem. Jacob just doesn't trust you to be in an evidence room filled with case-sensitive material for everything else involved in the city.
That's entirely fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Grab all of my things. Make sure I'm equipped.
All right.
I mean, you have any idea on how much Luciferus is in that place?
Just a whole closet filled with narcotics and hallucinogens.
2 vials. My things.
We're gonna open our
Ooh.
eyes.
Oh.
Okay, I gotta
There's
see.
2 vials in my thing.
Man.
All right. Fortunately, in the state of emergency and the fact you're just being held and quick processed, Jacob, with a green 25 on perception. So, Jacob, you're going through Mordecai's things, and you're like, whatever. And you're like, oh, white silk boxers, red hearts. Yeah, cool. Not what I'd wear, but,
I don't wear those.
I'm making whatever for funsies. I mean, if you want to describe him yourself, you're welcome to. But for fun, is he's going through your stuff, and
Silk and solid colored.
okay, also blue.
No, red.
Okay,
It's like I'm wearing nothing at all. Nothing
yeah,
at
kind
all.
of, yeah.
Stupid sexy pleasure.
Okay, so
I
yeah,
will
nice.
confiscate them.
Nice, and of course, they have they have the nice button fly in the back for the whole for the tail and everything. All right, so you're confiscating the boxers or the drugs? Because I was talking about boxers when you say confiscate them.
Yes.
Wow,
Okay.
are we going there?
All right, so we'll just say then, I guess you wrap his 2. He has 2 vials of a. I don't know. This would be.
I'm given on how many tieflings are in Green Shield. I'm pretty sure I know Luciferus.
Yeah. You're an investor. Yeah, I won't say that there's. It's not labeled Luciferus, but you have a very strong feeling that that's what this is here. So yeah, we'll say that you wrap up his 2 tubes of luciferase in his in a nice silken package, and you walk over to Mordecai, who's still in his prison garb, and you can present it if you'd like.
I will. And I will keep silent as to the missing missing contents.
So he just starts putting things of his in his bag.
At this point, it is confiscated as evidence and guarantee.
Really? Two vials of Lucifer's in his drawers? Alright.
Just assume I'm a little bit ahead of the game on this one.
I do notice that they're gone,
Oh, most certainly.
but I'm not going to make mention of it.
Make
So-
my jokes.
I am fully equipped.
Okay, so Jacob just
I'm
walks
part of
in.
space.
It's like, explain these, and he tosses your silk undergarments onto the table. You're like, well, look,
No.
linen makes me itchy, and oh. But yeah, so Mordecai, you're trying to play it cool here as you're going through all your things, and you notice that you are, well, you're shy on drugs, just not shy perhaps in other ways. But I guess with a little bit of a stern wink and a nod, Jacob lets you know all your things are accounted for.
Yep. I am going to simply end up hand him like as if nothing's wrong at this point. If you want me to roll deception, I will. I'm not afraid I'm failing that one.
Now Mordecai assumes that they have been confiscated for some reason. He'll just talk
Raw
to Selene
tiefling
because she wanted.
officers.
Celine wanted it aside, so he'll talk to her for a second.
Okay. Yeah, and you can also change in like they have a room that you could go to change back into your thing, sort of like a processing out area where you can be given a little privacy if you'd like to. Would you like Selene there while you change, or is this
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Just talk that.
Sure. All right. So you're, out of prison garb into your normal stuff. Your things are returned. Jacob, you're outside the door, I presume?
Of course.
Okay. So are you trying to pay attention to the door and if there's anything said, or are you giving them a little space, or what are you doing then as this conversation will happen?
Investigator wins out. I gotta listen in.
Okay. All right. So Mordecai, you're there. You're going back into Mordecai mode. Selene, you're there as well. It's not like there's anything new you haven't seen before, but you can have your conversation then while Mordecai's changing.
So you wanted to talk?
Yeah, it's less talking and more passionate kissing, but sure.
Picking a weird moment to do it, but okay.
Well, hey, we might die. And you might die again.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna complain?
Well, no, but you know. We haven't talked in like a minute about anything.
I don't care.
So he kisses her.
We can
It's understood.
we can sort it out later. It's fine. And then if we die, we don't have to worry about it now, do we?
That's a really weird way to look at it, but okay.
All right, so Jacob, we'll fade to Jacob then, as these two are having a conversation in the room beyond. And good morning, Syart. Welcome. No context. Anyway, so they're having a conversation, and after a short while, there's the kind of a knock twice to let you out, or so, because we'll say there's still a lock in case something happens. So they would need to knock to have you as a guard release them for that final escort out through the doors. And so finally the knock comes at the door, and you open.
Now, would I end up having the presumption that you two have a method of contacting the other members of your gathering?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. He kind of looks out as everybody seems to be panicking. Shall we end up dealing with the immediate, Walking Mountains?
Yeah, good idea. I know exactly where they came from.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Priestess Selene. You have now ended up taking on the role of the leader to this little point. Show me that I didn't end up misplacing my trust.
Right, well, first thing we'll do, we need to get the other two here, so I'll arrange a rendezvous point. And I am going to cast Sending. Are you going to, thank you. Targeting Bright.
Bright, okay.
And being like, it's like, are you if you're not still at the Ossuary, meet us at the tower. We have some things that we need to deal with.
We're
That's 25 words.
Would you kindly?
Would you kindly?
following the giants right now, but we'll come to the tower as soon as we can.
Good. Right, it's like, cool. So I set up a rendezvous point near the tower. In the meantime, we need to tail these giant things and see what it is they're actually doing.
Yeah,
Know
where did
thy
they come
enemy.
from?
So, in my talking with the revealer, there was mention and demonstration of the Fomorian eye.
Okay.
Jacob gets his book.
I had 100%
From where? Behind his ear?
I 100% forgotten that it could transmogrify people. In fact, I didn't know it could transmogrify people, but apparently it can. So we need to find them and cure them.
How do you propose to do that?
start by assuming it's a curse and try to remove curse, and if that doesn't work, get some diamonds and move to greater restoration.
Am I to understand that you brought this plight upon us?
I did not know.
But you know that they ended up coming from the Fomorian Eye, and you just implied that you ended up here having here such a thing.
Yes.
Jacob's trying
had
so
it.
hard not to say, what the heck's a Fomorian?
Yes, I have it. No, I did not bring the plight upon us. I left the eye with the revealer to study, and then that's what happened. So technically, it may or may not have been the revealer at the church. But that aside, we need to cure them. That's priority 1.
Agreed.
Fair enough.
Agreed? Cool. So, rendezvous at the tower, try and find the giants, may possibly cure the giants. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Yeah? Yeah. Let's go.
Kind of makes me wish I had learned how to remove curses.
Well, I mean, I could teach you at some point.
That's fair.
Okay. So with a rally point set, we actually have both groups that are going to be doing the same thing, just at different times, at least initially. And we'll see about syncing y'all up if it does happen, because I don't know what's going to happen here. So we go now over to Casimir and Bright, who have been after Bright. You're getting yourself dressed here. Would you make a deception at advantage as you're trying to like cover up and modify things and just taking your time?
Hey.
Hey,
Ooh, that's a crit.
Look at all this green. Oh, this is a fantastic session so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, 21. So yeah, I mean, Casimir, if you didn't see Bright go into this wonderful magical girl sequence to turn into a street urchin, then you might, yeah. Then yes, you wouldn't even
I would
recognize.
go all the way around, but I got snagged in my headset.
Well, we'll just call it floof problems. There, your floof got caught as
Let's
you were
try
doing.
again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's an anime trope, but there's the old guy who has the obi and is like pulling it, going as the girl's like ooh. Anyway, so yeah, Bright, you disguise yourself as as an urchin, or just as a very common commoner, someone who definitely doesn't seem to have a lot of money on her, and is a product from the not higher up places here in the city. And you and Casimir go out in order to start following these gigantes. Now Casimir.
So Casimir, Selene said we should meet them at the tower, but I think following the giants is probably more of a priority. And giants are going. They might be going to the tower. Who knows? So we'll just see how that all works out.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Now, Casimir, as a meta question for your mechanics of your class, do you have any particular strengths in tracking? Who are you good at following around and hunting? Or what?
Fae and undead.
Okay.
Really, those would be good choices.
Exceptionally.
Casimir, for the sake of what is going on here, it currently, and perhaps even due to some story clues that have been or will be put out there, I am going to say that hunting, quote unquote, the Fomorian will count as Fae for you.
Cool.
And so if you are going out in order to track them down, now in the city, you kind of just have to, follow the wake of people going, ah, or, oh, avoid this, they're going to the next section. Still, though, if you want to do a little subtle flex and prove your skills here to Bright as a hunter, you know, you kind of like lean down, and this could even end up revealing some information. Why don't we make a, let's see, that gives you...
Advantage on survival.
Yeah, go ahead and make a survival at an advantage, as you are here to... So 12, unfortunately, Casimir, there's...
I'm not good with city.
Yeah, it's...
Ugh.
You're used to
Buildings are
normal
too big.
dirt, not city dirt.
Yeah.
A lot of...
Many people.
Yeah, a lot of
And no
footprints.
tracks. There's no tracks.
You're trying your best, so you're having to make your way through maybe a little slower through just other clues of, you know, people running or screaming, or, you know, you hear some patrolmen that are kind of trotting by, and you're like, oh, from what I understand, they're going towards so and so. So you're more slowly making your way towards where they are. This is in effect an abstract unit of time that it could take for Jacob, Mordecai, and Selene to catch up to you before you encounter the giants. So you're out of the core of the city, Casimir, and perhaps now that there's less people who are running or walking around, spilling stuff, go ahead and try another survival to pick up their tracks.
Are we heading toward the tower, away from the tower, or tangentially to the tower?
Well, oh yeah. Well, is the plan then to find? Well, yeah. I'm sorry.
I just want to know where we're going. I'm not trying to make a change. I just want to see what's happening.
Giants or tower? Then that's a group. That's a decision for you two to make.
No.
No,
We're
we don't
following
want
the
to
giants.
know.
I wanted to know if we are going toward the tower as
Oh!
a result of following the giants.
Okay, I thought you were going like, all right, team, what are we doing? And you wanna have a little huddle here with Casimir. Let's see, Selene, how did you describe it? The tower in the ossuary, like one of the giant like steeples, or what did you describe again?
It's, if you're not still in the ossuary, meet at the tower, the really big one that appeared that's on fire.
That tower, gotcha.
That
All right,
tower.
you would actually be heading away from the flaming tower. This otherworldly, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So yes, I guess then you'd have to make a decision here, as Casimir, you're picking up better on their trail, and you're not just finding footprints, but you're trying to understand them, and I will ask you for some flavor here. When you're tracking Faye, what are you looking for, or what would be a Fae presence? Like, what brought Casimir to be a hunter of Fae? If you can put a little bit of splash, a little bit of glitz and glamour on this.
Well, originally he was from, Aslandia. They didn't have much. They had sand dogs and other sandy creatures. But when he came to Mesomasca, he finds creatures that are new and exciting and, odd. Just you haven't seen this type of creature before. So he wants to learn more about them. He wants to capture, hunt down,
The best way to learn about a creature is to kill it.
So because of their elusiveness, their mystique.
Yes, it's exciting. That's it.
Okay. Then along those lines of your motivation for wanting to take these as mechanically as a favorite enemy, I don't know if you're necessarily seeing them as an enemy, or at least not so much that you as the player might know the Fae in this game to be an enemy, but we'll say that as you're seeing more solid fomorian tracks, there is some evidence that they have some kind of perhaps a connection, as the Fae seem to like. The Fae really seem to like mushrooms, and you're finding in some areas that have been, like where the cobbles of the street or something have been pushed down into a vague, giant-like foot impression. You are finding, interestingly enough, some little malformed purple mushrooms that are growing. Sort of like in the dirt, in the muck between the cobbles. And so this is leading you to some kind of evidence that perhaps the Fomorians, in some way to you, have a Fae connection, as these weird, these weird beasts, hunters, or not hunter lore, but just, lore from all around the area, of course, had giants as, fairy tale creatures. As creatures that, existed at one point in time. And, a couple people around the hunting lodge may have said, oh, yeah, it'd be great to either meet one or, and a couple of the more tough ones, I'd take one down. But these ones are seemingly putting the fairy and fairy tale here. Just with their appearance, the fact that you're standing in the instead of on the shoulders of giants, you're in the footsteps of giants here. And there's this interesting Fey connection that you're picking up. It's not very it's not super strong. Like, we're not talking big toadstools or erupting from the street, but there's just this weird, like a residue that is we'll say like kind of like a mold or something kind of vaguely mushroomy, some sort of a sense that has a little glow to it as well. So with this, Casimir, you see that they're continuing to head out of the city. However, the Burning Tower is behind you, and so now the choice would be go to Burning Tower or to continue to pursue, or you can always split the party.
Aren't we already split?
Further.
And then after that, we'll cut Casimir in half.
Sounds like plan.
Okay, so, are the giants, they're heading out of the city, where are they going?
They're heading out of the, it would be the northeastern, they're heading out of the northeastern gate. So that would be, if we are here, they seem to be heading out this way.
They seem to be heading mark or something nearby that they seem to be heading toward?
At this point, it would just be out of the city and along the shore. But that's I mean where one of the gates are.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna have to send a sending, which is so poopy. It's not. I mean, okay. So this is to Selene, and I'm saying, Selene, hi Selene. It turns out the giants are actually leaving the city, going northeast, and we're following them. So sorry we didn't come to the tower. Okay, bye.
Yeah, these messaging rates are really steep.
Exceptionally.
Okay, so now we're going to cut back over to the group here that is back in the streets, further away. I mean, time has passed, and you all are making your way through here. How does this team wish to try and pursue the giants? There's, I mean, again, people, there could be tracks, there's all sorts of ways, but I would like to know how this team wants to approach following the Fomorians.
Are we doing that yet?
Or maybe
just
not.
Tell them where the Fomorians are going, so it really just depends on when the message comes in.
I'm sorry, you were going straight to the tower. I'm sorry, I'm crossing the wires of the groups here. So you all have made your way here.
We would be at the tower.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's when I'd received the thing.
Yes, and now after waiting here for a while, which, by the way, there are tieflings that are still gathering, and they're just kind of like moths to a flame. Now they're not like going into the flame, but they're just in rapture. They're just gazing up. You can see the fire glinting in their eyes, and their tails just kind of like even stop swooshing. And
I recommend going into the flame. I hear it's really nice.
No.
But there's officers that are moving them along. Come on, and they kind of sorry, and they'll make their way through. But for all the tieflings around, this really seems to captivate them.
All right. While we're here, I'm
the message comes.
I'm gonna cast. It's like. Okay, understood. On our way. I'm gonna very quickly cast Detect Evil and Good while I'm here.
This is... This is most certainly coming up as desecrated.
Hmm. Right. I'll keep that one in mind. Selene will turn that to is like, okay, so new plan. Casimir and Brad are still on the trail of the Fomorians. They're heading out of the city to the northeast. So we need to catch up.
And while you're not seeing a physical man, I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. You're also, while you're detecting this this feeling of desecration, you're not seeing figures that are pinging as such, but you're also getting a strong. Well, actually, you know what? Selene, this is more of an emotional, a gut thing. Make an insight, and make an insight at disadvantage.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can definitely do that.
So either a crit 28 or a 24. All right. While this spell is going off and you're searching around, Selene, as there are tieflings that are approaching the fire, before they move away, they are starting to get a stronger resonance of fiend. Now, you're not getting this from the humans that are coming by, and
No, the
but the tieflings, the longer they seem to be next to, like, sort of engaged with the fire, gazing at it, they're glowing stronger in a fiendish light to you. They're not pinging as fiends, but
oh yeah, and Mordecai will ping up as undead to me.
yes, and Mordecai would, well, and so Mordecai, yes, you are both undead, and well, that depends, Mordecai. You know that the tower has a certain effect on tieflings. Are you willing to subject yourself to it, for funsies or for experimentation, or are you keeping your distance?
I would imagine he wasn't really prepared to be entranced by it, so maybe he's just kind of gazing a little too long.
Okay.
Like everybody else.
Make a charisma save, please.
All right.
You're feeling like a tingly, like a little like a shudder of some kind, but you are not entranced by this, as it seems that a lot of the city folk are. But Selene, you would still pick up a slight presence on your fiendish whatever Geiger counter of fiendness. Mordecai has a low ping on here, but is more than what you've detected before, as you know, you've caught him in an undead feeling and other things like that. But for sure, these others who seem to be like entranced and they're having to be told to move along, they're more resounding with a fiendish nature, or not nature, like an aura or a feeling.
Right. Okay. That kind of settles the theory for me. It's like, interesting. We'll talk about that a little later. For now, we need to catch up to Bright and Casimir. They're moving to the northeast with the giants. And then the second spell that I'm going to cast after that is I'm going to cast Locate Creature, naming Fomorian.
All right. Well, you can imagine that there's not, several million Fomorians that are going to be muddling up your radar here. So describe or name a creature that is familiar to you. You sense the creature to the location, as long as they're within 1,000 feet. This would be beyond 1,000 feet. If from where you're at least, even compared to the city gate, this is over 1,000 feet away.
Okay.
So if you want to keep it up in concentration, maybe you'll catch up and catch them at the edge of your...
I'll concentrate on it and it's like, right, let's move. We don't have a lot of time to waste. As Selene is gonna sprint off in the direction of the northeast, towards the gate.
All right. Oh snap!
No.
We are being raided by
Raided.
Fiora the Tank Girl. Welcome everyone.
Hey!
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome.
Hoi hoi!
There's spam some emotes for our raiders. Welcome everyone to our Tuesday game.
I go in after her.
Oh, this week's or this raid's quote is Goblin Yeet, which always makes me have a question: what happened in your session? Though that one might be a little self-descriptive. Well, welcome to Tank Girl and the others here, as we're having our roleplay Tuesday. All right, so we are gonna have Selene just is starting to run off. As you can concentrate here. Mordecai, you are following. You're following, and Jacob, what are you doing in this instance here?
Following behind.
Okay.
Feel that I must at this point.
Run. Is it's like, I've got something up that'll ping us as soon as we're within 1,000 feet of the fomorians, so I will know which direction they're traveling. It's just we're gonna have to run and fast.
Now we'll cut back to Bright and Casimir. I know for Bright and Norlai this is a familiar scene, but we're gonna say that you're passing through the docks district of the city here. And on your way out, though, Casimir, you did say to Bright that you would try to keep an eye on, open for some birds' nests. And so, while this is not, go ahead and make another survival that is not related to tracking or following Gigantes.
Normal.
Yep, just a normal one.
Just a normal.
Oh, 21-24. My goodness, y'all are getting some good splits here. All right. So in some of the trees, you're finding nests. You haven't found the right one yet. That is supposedly containing the type of blue eggs that Bright was talking about. And but little baby birds, or soon to be baby birds here as we're in the springtime. Bright, make a perception as you are also, you're on the lookout, and so you're looking while Casimir is more tracking in this instance. A 1. Okay.
So I'm under my hood.
Yes.
And yeah.
You're not tall enough to see into the tree.
Also true. I don't have time to stop and climb up.
Yep, that's fine. All right, so yeah, Bright's in big clothes here, and you're just there's so many things going on: pressure, distraction, goals. All of these things are vying for your attention. Casimir, what is your passive perception?
16.
Whew. Rocket Jaguar, thank you very much for the follow and welcome aboard. Okay, so you're continuing. You are continuing to go through this district here, and of course, I mean, there's warehouses, ships going in and out. There's a lot of different stores. The docks area also, as Jacob was told earlier by the desk sergeant, this is a place where all forms of entertainment are allowed to, not all, but the legal code is suspended for certain forms of entertainment here in the docks district. And so Casimir, you're passing by, and you're just about to reach the city gate here, which would be kind of like off in the distance after curving around for a little bit. And you stop, and you think, especially because you're a ladies' man, and it's not that you haven't heard of places like this before, but you've moved beyond it. now that you think about it, there is a certain entertainment venue called the Robin's Nest. And it does seem to cater to, they have the best chicks in town. And, so while you have found nests of birds, it's not the right ones you're looking for. But after a while, especially after overshooting it, something kind of clicks that you might have actually passed by something that fits the description of Bright. Or that Bright gave you.
I'm pretty sure she specified she needed the egg, no?
I mean, she mentioned House of Wood and that there were eggs that were gems.
I didn't actually tell Casimir the riddle. I just told Casimir that I was looking for a robin's nest with eggs.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there's a place called the Robin's Nest. I definitely want to check it out. I don't.
Okay. So you could move back from the city gates along the streets to visit an area that has blue lights that look like blue little eggs, just kind of like hanging out instead of these little red lanterns. But there's these blue little eggs that are just kind of hanging around a wooden structure here. And there are business professionals who are offering their wares outside of the establishment. So as you're marching back here, Casimir, like, what are your thoughts?
I would probably just tell Bright, wouldn't it be funny if that was what you were looking for?
That might work out really well. So, hey, do you happen to speak Draconic?
No.
Had to think about that one.
No, common, Elvish, Infernal, and Selene.
Okay, so, maybe we should wait for Selene to get here, because she speaks Draconic and she could help with the riddle. And it's I've been pretty good at, like, remembering the syllables and doing the verbal thing, but I don't want to risk getting it wrong. So actually, let's not go there yet until Selene is here. But let's definitely remember where it is.
Okay, so where would you want to go back to the city gate, or do you want to hang around the docks if they're going to follow in your footsteps out this way?
Well, I got a little... as far as... because we told Selene the giants were leaving town to go to the northeast, and I don't want to get too far behind the giants. I mean, I'm sure you can track them, but we probably should... We should do...
Oh, you should do what? I'm sorry, cut out.
Oh, I was asking Casimir what he thought we should do.
Well, we should probably keep an eye on giants. Although if they leave town, they'd be easier to track, so...
Well, we're pretty sure that they left town, right? I mean... The question about that, right?
As you two are talking, Casimir,
That was a question for Matty.
Oh, I'm sorry, it cut out then. What can you repeat that for me?
There's not any question that the giants have left town going northeast. Like, we know.
Correct. That. Yeah. People along here, they're like, oh, did you see that parade of freaks and all this other stuff? So yeah, they certainly left out this way.
I thought we were still following.
Yeah, you're following.
Okay.
You weren't like 2 feet behind them. You're following behind them, but they were.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like a mile ahead. So why don't we? We might want to hang around the city gate, not too far, because that's where Selene and the others. Well, maybe, hopefully the others, but at least Selene is going to be coming through, and then we can meet up with her / them as they come through. Follow the giants, even if we let them get another mile or two on us.
Yeah, we can wait. If they walk, especially on sand, we would be able to track them easy.
Okay, well let's wait around the city gate, for Selene.
All right, so you're standing out here making this plan. From the other party, who is leading the either the investigation or the pursuit of the giants?
Selene?
Selene? Okay. Selene, are you doing this by asking people like which way did they go, or what skills would you like to bring into this pursuit? Oh, I can't hear you.
You're muted.
I'll be asking people, but I'll also be keeping an eye on just general markers that they've been through the area, probably using survival.
Okay, sure. We can kind of encapsulate survival in this sense, especially with some of the familiarities that you have. It's not going to be like the hunter ability for advantage, but I'll go ahead and make a survival then. To follow their path and to pick up on cues to see if you learn stuff along the way. Okay, 18, and go ahead and make one more for me here. Ooh, 24. All right, you all are making very good time. In fact, you even learned that there's a shortcut that you can take that would save you some time through the inner part of the city before you get to the docks area. Before we take our customary break, the three of you are walking down the street when you see Casimir and a small ragamuffin child outside of a pillow house, and there is a tiefling lady who is walking past Casimir and kind of, with the tip of her tail, kind of goes underneath his chin and seems to be addressing him in some fashion. But they're both standing there and just outside of this place. And so your shortcut super paid off. Well, for you all, maybe not for these two, but you catch them as Casimir is being solicited by a professional.
Celine's just gonna call out to Casimir, like after she's out of earshot. Celine's just gonna go up to Casimir and be like, "Well, someone's interested in you."
And
So,
Not that
I would be
someone, but
I would be worried that Selene would have Jacob and or other policemen with her. So if I wanna hide as soon as I see if Jacob or other policemen are with Selene.
Sure. They're not necessarily being super discreet here. Go ahead and just make a perception at advantage because you're in a bit of a paranoid state. You're looking around. You're
I'm not very good.
Bright, you are so nervous and racked with anxiety, or dare I say some guilt, or at least a feeling of needing to resolve things. So yeah,
a little guilt.
So the three of you come up, and Bright, we'll say that your back is to them here, but Selene goes forward and starts to give Casimir a bit of a razz. And if Selene is here, well, that could very well mean others are, but you don't necessarily have to turn around. Or if you do, we'll save this for after the break. Let's all get up and take like 10 minutes or so to get a drink, use the bathroom, get a snack or whatever. Yeah. And we'll come back. It might be 15 minutes or so. We'll see. We'll come back, do a little table talk, and then we're going to pick up here as the group is back together, but in a very interesting situation. So for all of you who are watching out there, I thank you for sticking with us, and I hope that you'll ride out the rest of the session tonight.